Welcome back to Local Eyes with me, Laura Woods. If you have a view you'd like to share with us on the show, you know the number. Call now on 555-YAK and we'll put you on the air. We'll be back after this word from our sponsors.
Hey, folks, is you tired of not having a hat? Then you need to come to Crazy Jethro's World of Hats. We got trucker caps, baseball caps, Homburgs, trilbies, Stetsons, beanies, bowlers, berets, and more. Right now, we got a 2-for-1 offer on all our hats, plus free insurance on selected ranges, and a great trade-in deal on our new lines. So call in at Crazy Jethro's World of Hats today.
Crazy Jethro's World of Hats. The third door on the right, 229 Pestlin Street, Stenchton.
Localize with Laura Woods.
Now, this week sees the start of Boogerville's annual Moose Punching Festival. In the studio with me is Jed Banger, one of the organizers of the festival, who's here to address the animal rights issues this event raises. Welcome to the show, Mr. Banger.
Howdy, Laura.
Now, Mr. Banger, what would you say to the allegations that the Boogerville Moose Punching Festival is just an excuse for a bunch of ignorant barbarians to get drunk and commit acts of violence toward defenseless animals?
Now, hold up there, lady. That ain't right at all. We only got one defenseless animal at the Moose Punching Festival. See? It says so in the name. If there was more than one, it'd be a moose's. More than one Moose Punching Festival.
But you don't deny that punching a moose in the face is cruel and barbaric?
Let me ask you a question, lady. You ever come face to face with a wild, poisonous moose? 'Cause if you had, then you'd know those fellas ain't to be messed with. And when it comes down to it, you honestly think a moose is gonna worry about whether biting you is cruel or not? It's punch or be killed, let me tell you. Survival of the fittest.
Well, as the moose isn't indigenous to Boogerville, the chances of you personally coming face to face with one in the wild are pretty slim.
Yup. That's why we imports our moose from out of town. Then we shows him who the boss is by punching him in the face, and that his sort ain't welcome round our way.
I see. So, let me get this straight. You import a moose, then punch it in the face to...
Tell him he ain't welcome in our town.
But there are no moose in Boogerville, correct?
Uh-huh. Our methods is working.
I see. So, for those of us unfamiliar with your methods, what exactly happens at this festival?
Well, we gets up around 10 in the morning and we starts drinking. By noon, we're about ready to face the moose. So we all goes into the town square. That's where we puts the moose when he brings him into town. And then we take turns punching him right between his evil eyes until he falls over or we get bored or pass out through too much drinking. I tells you, it's fun for all the family. I seen kids of 4 or 5 waiting in line for a turn at punching that dumb old moose in the face. They loves it. Yeah. So get all the family down to Boogerville for the Moose Punching Festival. I guarantee they'll have themselves one heck of a time.
So, how would you respond to critics of the festival who claim it's just a form of animal abuse?
Well, they don't understand that the Moose Punching Festival's an old tradition in Boogerville.
A tradition dating back to 1986.
Yep. See, that's when me and my buddies, Skeeter and Cooter Ray and Little Bo, first hit upon the idea of punching the moose in the face. We'd been sitting on Little Bo's porch all day, and we was kind of bored.
And presumably you'd been drinking?
Oh, heck yeah! I tell you, we was 4 sheets to the wind that day. Oh, yeah. Anyways, we decided that we'd had about enough of those mooses and their dumb faces, and that it was our civic duty to protect our children from them. So we struck on the idea of organizing a moose hunt to show them who was boss.
And the fact that there were no moose in Boogerville didn't complicate your plans?
Oh, shoot, no. We spent about 2 hours looking for a moose in the woods, down by the creek and then in Little Bo's house. But then we just headed into Capital City and we went to the zoo. Of course, those tree-hugging liberals weren't too happy about us taking their moose, but we weren't going to take no for an answer. So we busted that critter out of there and brought him back to Boogerville. And then we started punching him.
And this has been an annual occurrence in Boogerville since 1986.
Every year. Except now we imports the moose instead of taking him from the zoo. 'Cause those fellas in Capital City took out a restraining order against us.
Well, our switchboard has been jammed with calls, so let's go to line 4 and speak to Chuck. Hello, Chuck. You're on YAK FM.
Hey, Laura, listen, you got it wrong. This fella knows what he's talking about. See, back in '64, I was lost in the woods, and before I knew it, I'd walked into a moose nest. Now, those critters don't take too kindly to folks wandering into their nest, and they get real nasty when they're riled. I was lucky to get out of there alive. Dang yellow sons of guns almost stung me to death, and that buzzing noise haunts me to this day.
I'm sorry, caller, but I think you're confusing moose and wasps.
Wasps? Oh, shoot, I love those guys with their big antlers and soppy eyes.
Thank you, Chuck. Hello, line 3. You're on YAK FM.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, caller.
Cool.
Do you have a comment you'd like to make on the Moose Punching Festival?
No.
Okay, over to...
I mean, yes.
Okay, so what's your view?
Well, these moose,
Uh-huh.
they're like, I agree, but I can, see the other point of view, too. So I'm kind of, if we maybe, the moose could, you know?
Well, thanks for that, caller. Hello, Jesse on line 18. What do you have to say?
Yeah, hi, Laura. I just want to say that this whole moose punching festival is cruel and it should be banned. It's barbaric.
Oh, shoot. You're one of them there liberal tree huggers, aren't you?
If you mean I believe in animal rights, then yes, I am.
What about human rights, huh, Missy? It's my right as a human to punch a moose in the face if I see fit.
But it's barbaric and cruel to...
Blah, blah, blah. I suppose you think setting fire to skunks is cruel too, huh?
What? Of course it is. Skunks are beautiful living creatures, and they don't deserve...
You wouldn't be saying that if one was flying around in your kitchen, terrorizing your kids with its blood-sucking fangs and forked tongue. Or how about if a moose was in your backyard, eating your babies?
Listen, you moron. Animals have rights, and we can't go around treating them like they're our property.
My dog's my property. I owns him. I paid my neighbor $8 for him. Now, is you saying it ain't my right to punch him neither?
What? No, you can't punch any animals.
Oh, so you saying I should, what, kick 'em instead? Now who's the cruel and cruel one?
Oh, I give up.
Well, that's all we have time for on this fascinating story. So thanks to Jed Banger for coming in today to tell us about the Moose Punching Festival.
My pleasure, Laura. And remember, folks, if you don't punch a moose, who will?
We'll be back right after this.
Were you run over whilst jaywalking? Did your neighbor's dog bite you after you poked it repeatedly with a stick? Did you fall off a ladder whilst drunk? Have you done something really stupid but refused to accept personal responsibility for it? Then you have a case. At Rob Swindle & Co. Legal Services, we'll sue anyone for anything on your behalf. Call us now on 555-SUE-YOUR-ASS, and we'll guarantee that we'll find somebody you can sue. That's 555-SUE-YOUR-ASS. Call today. Localize with Laura Woods.
Welcome back. You're listening to Local Eyes on YAK FM. Now, I'm joined in the studio by Dr. Peter Blink, author of The UFO Conspiracy Uncovered, the shocking truth about what they don't want you to know about UFOs and other information that is 100% genuine and not at all fabricated. Dr. Blink, welcome.
Hello, Laura.
Now, in your book, you claim that we're being visited by a race of extraterrestrial beings who have been abducting humans and subjecting them to a series of experiments.
Yes, that's correct. I didn't make it up.
Right. And you also claim that the government are not only aware of these abductions, but are in fact condoning them?
Yes, that's also correct. And again, I didn't imagine it.
Now, those are some pretty serious allegations. What evidence do you have to back them up?
Well, for a start, there are these photographs of cattle mutilations.
Okay, if we take a look.
Yes, you can see here this cow has been severely mutilated around the udder area.
Dr. Blink, this is a bullock.
Well, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. But the matter really isn't as open and closed a case as you might think. You see, you ask about evidence of these goings-on, but in reality, I think it's more a case of what evidence do you have that it's not happening. As I detail in my book, I have a number of recorded cases covering the experiences of numerous people, and they weren't lying.
Well, I have your book here, and on page 48, you detail the case of a Mr. D.
Yes, Mr. D's case is very interesting.
I was walking home from Name Withheld when I spotted the UFO. It was a yellow ball of fire that just hung in the air for a whole while, and it weren't moving. Eventually, my peepers started to hurt some, and I went blind. This was when I done passed out. When I woke up, it was dark, and the UFO had gone, and so had my wallet and all my money.
Frightening, isn't it? And when I interviewed Mr. D, I could tell he wasn't lying.
It's certainly a very, compelling story.
That defies explanation.
Well, unless he was, say, coming home from a bar after an all-night drinking session?
Well, Mr. D had been in a bar prior to the experience, but he's certain he wasn't lying about the UFO he saw. And then there's the photographic evidence collected over many years of sightings.
Yes, the photographic evidence. I'll just flick to here on page 138.
Yes, that's a shocking photograph taken by another witness. As you can see, it shows the six-headed alien commander using his death ray to eliminate the assembled world leaders, then replace them with alien replicas to cover up their existence. Photographs like...
This is a drawing.
Well, whether it's a drawing or a photograph, pictorial evidence like this proves that such events are taking place.
No. All this proves is that your witness has a very active imagination and a set of pencils, or in this case, crayons.
I will admit that this particular witness was incarcerated by the local authorities and wasn't allowed access to sharp objects such as pencils, but that was because they wished to silence him, as he'd seen too much, and was nothing to do with his claims to be General Washington. But if you turn the page, you'll see another image that I think will shock you.
Ah, now this is a photograph.
Exactly. Conclusive proof.
Of Chuck Throb in Attack of the Moon Men, probably the most famous alien invader movie of the 50s. There's the credit here, too. Image copyright 1953 Salverbini Productions.
Ah, yes. But that movie is in fact a reconstruction of real events that did take place.
Okay, well, we're going to the phones now. On line 3 we have, a caller who's withheld his name. Hello, mystery caller.
Who is this?
You're live on YAK FM. What's your question for Dr. Blink?
Who?
Dr. Blink, our UFO expert.
How did you get this frequency? This is a restricted channel.
You called us, sir.
Wait, is this line secure?
I don't think so.
Do not transmit on an unsecured line. Go to channel 14.
Okay, thanks for that. Let's go over to line 3. Hello, caller. You're on YAK FM.
Hi, Laura. This is Bud from Bud's World of Tires.
Hello, Bud. Do you have an experience you'd like to share with us?
I sure do. I see UFOs and aliens all the time round at Bud's World of Tires.
Fascinating. Do go on.
Yep, I tell you, at Bud's World of Tires, down on the corner of Main and 18th, we got aliens, UFOs, Bigfoots, and vampires, too. That's Bud's World of Tires. It's the place to see them all. But they only ever show up between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday, and 10 till 5 on a Saturday. But don't come on a Sunday. There ain't no aliens on Sundays. You gotta come on down and get yourself a new set of...
Well, thanks for that. On line 8 is... Well, it's Mr. D, the alleged abductee whose case you cover in your book. Hello, Mr. D. We've just been discussing your case.
Howdy, Doc.
Hello, Mr. D.
You telling that radio lady about my UFO sighting?
We've been discussing it, yes.
I told you, I was so scared. That UFO, it was so bright and so shiny. And then them little fellas done took my wallet. But I don't understand why they wasn't caught. I mean, it ain't every day a bunch of UFO fellas walks into a bar and spends $900 on beer.
Mr. D, could you tell us more about these so-called aliens? Did they communicate with you at all?
Well, I was blind at the time, and I'd fallen over on account of them using some kind of alien ray gun on me or something. But I heard them talking as they emptied my pockets. One of them said, "Hey, look here, Wilbur's as drunk as a skunk." And they all started making this weird kind of sound, like a kind of thing. And then I woke up and I could see, and the UFO, well, it gone.
Fascinating.
And then Dr. Blink, he heard about my story, and he asked me if I'd tell him all about it. And that's when he explained it was aliens what took my money and conducted some weird experiments on me. I thought it was just the fellas from the bar, but the doc, he said...
Cases like Mr. D's are much more common than you'd imagine. As you can see, the whole experience has left him very confused. It's a classic example. The sighting of the alien ship, the sense of disassociation from the physical body, the sickness and vomiting, and the missing time.
I see. Well, thanks for calling, Mr. D.
Bye, Doc. See you next week, right?
So, you've presented us with some interesting evidence, but you still haven't explained why this is happening.
I believe that the abductions across the country are all part of a secret government plan. The government, in collaboration with the aliens, are abducting people like Mr. D and using mind control broadcasts to make them forget how they were subjected to a series of tests to discover suitable candidates.
Candidates for what?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
Not really.
They're looking for suitable hosts.
Hosts?
Exactly. And once they have these hosts, they'll begin to live amongst us. But everybody who's taken over by aliens can be spotted if you look closely. You see, they all have a puncture mark on the back of their neck, so they'll go to great lengths to cover up these wounds. And in return for their compliance, the government will be given access to faster-than-light space engines and laser beams.
And what led you to this conclusion?
The evidence, of course. I may be a writer, but I'm first and foremost a scientist.
Ah, yes. Your doctorate was obtained from the Omaha Mail-Order School of Animal Husbandry. Isn't that correct?
Perhaps.
And prior to obtaining your doctorate, you were an unsuccessful TV writer. Isn't that also correct?
I'd hardly say I was unsuccessful.
Well, we've done some research, and we've discovered that you pitched a TV series to 6 networks entitled Peter Black, UFO Investigator, about a scientist who investigates a covert alien invasion and uncovers these intruders among us by looking for the marks on their necks. I have a copy of the pitch here, and it says, using aliens in human form will cut down on budget costs. What do you think? Let me know. Peter. P.S. Love to Connie and the kids.
Yes, I will admit that I did pitch such a show, but it was to be based on my scientific research and not at all made up or fictionalized. You see, this is just typical of the kind of... You're one of them, aren't you? They've got to you.
Dr. Blink, please stop it. You're fooling no one.
That's what you say. But listeners, please, you've got to warn everyone. They're among us as we speak. Go out into the streets. You've got to let them know. Tell them to buy my book and come to my signing at World of Books tomorrow. It's the only way to survive.
Oh, we'll be back after this.
Ask anybody and they'll tell you. Suffering from allergies just isn't fun. Sore throats and irritated nose and gritty eyes can ruin your day. That's why I use Allergy-Gon. Allergy-Gon has a proven record for relieving the symptoms of allergies and provides relief for up to 24 hours. So why suffer? Ask your pharmacist for Allergy-Gon today.
Possible side effects include sore throat, nasal irritation, dryness of eyes, diarrhea, constipation, typhoid, shortness of breath, swelling of the extremities, trench foot, muscular spasms, scrotal inflammation, blurred vision, loss of libido, long-term memory loss, short-term memory loss, foot and mouth disease, and death. Available only at pharmacies.
YAK FM. The station with something to say.
Well, now it's time for a new segment on Local Eyes. It seems the powers that be think we need to attract a younger audience. So here's Penny Dwaff with Showbiz Insider. Hi, Penny. So, what do you have for us?
Oh, you know, stuff. It's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. So is it like my part now?
Yes, Penny.
Cool.
Showbiz Insider.
Hi, I'm Penny Dwaff, and I'm going to be looking at, like, all the showbiz news and gossip. Cool, huh? So, let's start with some way cool news.
Showbiz Insider News.
Well, this week saw on-again, off-again celebrity couple Coleman Ranchero and singing sensation Ola announce that their wedding is on again. Ola, whose new single is released later this week, commented that Coleman was the only guy for her and that they were very happy together. Meanwhile, Coleman, who'd split up with Ola just before the release of his new movie, Real Men Wear Tight Pants, said that his appearance at the movie premiere with supermodel Vash, who's launching her own range of perfumes and cosmetics later this month, came about because they were just good friends, and now he's totally happy to be back with Ola. Good luck, guys.
Showbiz Insider News.
It seems everybody's going baby crazy in Hollywood. Latest celebrity couple to join the baby club are producer Herb Pringle and actress wife Natasha Flam. Natasha gave birth to a healthy baby boy earlier this week, and they've named him Evangelist Science Soup Kitchen. Both mother and baby are said to be doing well. Congratulations, Natasha.
Showbiz Insider News.
That's all the insider news for now. We'll be totally back after this.
Coming to WANQ, it's the sporting event of the century, WrestleFest 13, featuring Sean Fantastic versus Brew the Beast for the Mid-Southwestern League title in a grease pig match, the Submission Squad versus the League of Pain in the Ultimate Hardcore Chainsaw match, plus Big Bo McGurk versus the Incredible Ivan in a monster truck match for the Heavyweight Championship. WrestleFest 13, only on WANQ.
Showbiz Insider.
Awesome! Now, the latest Hollywood epic, Invasion 1066, opens later this week in Capital City, and I caught up with the stars, Butch Rockwell and Patricia Swoon. Hi, guys.
Hey, Penny.
Hi. Now, Invasion 1066. What's it about?
Well, it's a historical piece based around the events of the invasion of England in,
1066.
Yeah, the invasion of 1066.
Cool. That's England and Europe, right? Awesome. And who do you play?
I play Sir Francis Drake, and I don't want to spoil the movie, but for all you history buffs out there, you'll know he's the guy who defeated the Romans' ninja army.
Awesome. And Patricia?
I play the love interest.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. And that's fun. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy kissing this guy all day, right? But my character was much more than that. Queen Cleopatra was a great warrior, too, and she helped repel the ninjas.
I totally love historical dramas.
Yeah, it's like so cool. And we got to play with Terrence English. He is such an awesome actor.
Awesome.
Yeah, Terrence is awesome to work with. He's so modest. Even though the guy is like a theatrical legend, he had no problems giving me and Patricia more screen time than him. And he even asked if the producers would remove his name from the credits.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was such a joker. I remember one morning he refused to come to the set because he said the movie was a bunch of bull. Well, I can't say the rest, but he wasn't going to move.
Wow.
So Michael, the director, knocked on the door of Terry's trailer and said he'd pay him another $3 million if he'd come out. So Terry agreed and said he was only doing it to pay for his son's operation. He was always goofing around and making jokes like that.
Remember that time those press guys came around and Terry...
Yeah, Terry denied being in the movie. Well, what a guy. It was real fun working with Terry.
And remember the rap party? When Terry said we were all vacuous, talentless airheads and that making this movie was the lowest point of his career? What a guy.
Ah, he's a swell guy, Terry, and I was amazed at how well he spoke English.
I know! I couldn't believe that. Do you know he wasn't even born in America, and yet he speaks English pretty good?
Cool. Now, Butch, is it true that you did all your own stunts?
No.
Cool. That is so, dangerous, you know? And they don't pay you any extra money, right? So why bother, huh?
You're so right, Penny. I'm a trained actor, not a stuntman. So they should leave me to do the things I'm good at, like speaking or walking or looking good in designer clothing.
Cool. Well, that's it. So thanks for coming in, guys. And good luck with Invaders 1016.
Thanks, Penny. It's been totally awesome to be here.
Totally.
How cool were those guys? Awesome. That's all from me. This is Penny Dwarf and the Showbiz Insider, and I'm totally out of here.
Tonight on WANQ.
Code Blue, stop!
Here you go, Doc. One cold blue cat.
Uh-oh, it's Pablo.
Don't miss another hilarious episode of Uh-oh, It's Pablo. Tonight at 8 p.m. only on WANQ.
Localize with Laura Woods.
That was Penny Dwarf with the Showbiz Insider. Now I'm joined by my regular guest, agony aunt and columnist Dr. Manfreda Zing, who's here to help out with your relationships, love life, and general medical problems. Hi, Dr. Zing. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Laura.
Okay, we're throwing open the phone lines now. If you have a problem you'd like Dr. Zing's advice on, then call now on 555-YAK. We'll be back after this.
You know, rearing livestock's hard. You got all kinds of problems that regular city folk just don't understand. That's why it's good to know the folk at Animal Kindness Products are here for you. They got everything you need. Bovine bloaters, hog pokers, spring-loaded critter emasculators, and more. Ask at your local store for Animal Kindness Products, because your livestock shouldn't be a laughing stock.
YAK FM, the station with something to say.
You're listening to Localize on YAK FM. With me is Dr. Manfreda Zing, and we're going to the phones now to see if she can help with some of your problems. On line 4, we have Bubba from Dead Man's Hole. Hi, Bubba. You're through to Dr. Zing.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Zing.
Hi, Bubba. How can I help?
Well, see, the thing is, my wife, we was married for maybe 30 years or something, and now she's done up and left me.
Well, first, Bubba, please accept my condolences. The breakup of a relationship, especially one as long as that, can leave you wondering where you went wrong, and you start thinking, was it my fault, or could I have done something?
Oh, heck, Doc. I was pleased to see her go. She was ugly as sin and twice as lazy.
I see. So you're calling to...
I'm calling to tell all those ladies out there that Big Bubba's back in Singletown. Oh, yeah. I'm looking for a woman that likes bringing me beer, making me pie, and fixing my tractor. And she's got to have herself a big pair of hooters.
Well, Bubba,
But it don't matter if she don't like all those things. I mean, I ain't no Neanderthal or nothing, and I knows about them women folks' livers, but long as she's got big hooters, I'm as happy as a hog in mud.
Tell me, Bubba, do you...
Hey, Doc, is you courting? 'Cause if you ain't, and you're looking for a real man, then we should get together. Long as you got yourself a big pair of...
Thank you, Bubba from Dead Man's Hole. On line 23, we have Roscoe. Hello, Roscoe. You're through to Dr. Zing.
Yeah. Hi, Doc.
Hi, Roscoe. How can I help?
Well, the thing is, I'm a regular red-blooded fella, but ever since I was knee-high to a hiccup, I had this fantasy about dressing up like a real pretty cowgirl.
I see.
Yeah. So anyways, about 3 months ago, I got myself a cute little miniskirt and a nice low-cut gingham shirt and some cowboy boots. Well, I tell ya, it was fun. I spent hours dancing around in front of my mirror, just looking at how pretty I was. But that's when my neighbor saw me. And now, well, he done told me that unless I dress up in my cowgirl outfit and ride a greased pig around in my backyard and let him watch, well, he's gonna tell my wife.
Well, the first step is to speak to your wife. That way his threat loses its power.
What? Shoot, no, I ain't calling about that. I'm calling 'cause I need to know if it's safe for a 400-pound fella like me to ride that pig.
Well, I'd say probably not. But the real issue is...
Hey, Jim Bob, the doc says it ain't safe for me to ride that pig. Yeah, you're gonna have to take him back. Now, don't you be doing that, Jim Bob. He don't like it when you do that. Aw, dang it, I told you. You ain't supposed to be doing that.
Well, thanks for that, Roscoe.
Jim Bob, I told you gotta cut that out. It ain't natural.
Over to Maybeth on line 4. Hi, Maybeth. You're through to Dr. Zing.
Howdy, Dr. Zing.
Hi, Maybeth. What seems to be the problem?
My husband.
I see. And what's the problem with your husband?
Well, he ain't showed no romantic interest in me for so long as I can remember.
The lack of such interest could be perhaps down to a heavy workload or stress. What does your husband do for a living, Maybeth?
Oh, he don't do nothing now. He's a lazy, good-for-nothing son of a horny toad. He just sits there all day and don't move from his favorite chair. And he never says a dang word to me.
Well, communication is a key issue in a relationship. It's important
and then there's the smell, dang it. My trailer smells like a hog's butt. And that's an insult to hogs' butts, 'cause some of them are actually quite nice.
Well, it sounds as if he stopped making an effort, which again is something that could...
Dang right he don't make no effort. I done told him last month, I said to him, Hank, you're going to take me to the store so I can buy me some new fancy drawers. And that low-down good-for-nothing, he just slumped down into his chair, and he ain't said a word to me since.
And this has gone on for a month?
Dang right it has. He ain't said a word to me since. And he's so dang lazy that he ain't moved since neither.
So, can I just clarify? He hasn't spoken to you or moved from his chair in a month?
That's right, Doctor. I got me a lawn that's knee-high to an elephant, and he ain't so much as give it a second thought. Now, he ain't eating any of the food I puts in front of him neither.
So he's also suffering a loss of appetite.
That's right. And now that son of a skunk, why, he's decided to turn blue just so's as he can spite me.
Maybeth, I believe your husband may be suffering from what we in the medical profession call total body necrosis.
Oh, dang it. So what's he need? Some fancy pills or some kind of lotion?
No, Maybeth. I think Well, I think your husband may have gone.
No, he ain't gone nowhere. I told you, he just sits here and don't move none.
No, I mean, well, from what you're describing, it sounds as if he's passed away.
What? No, he can't be. He's faking it, dang it.
Maybeth, I know this is hard, but you have
Dag nabbit! Now who's going to take me to the store for my new fancy drawers? My mama always told me that he was no good. Of all the inconsiderate, self-centered sons of
Well, thanks for that, Maybeth. Now over to line 294, where we have Jeremiah from Stinky Gulch. Hi, Jeremiah.
Howdy, radio lady. Is the doctor lady there?
Hello, Jeremiah. I'm here. How can I help
Well,
you?
Doc, see, the thing is, I reckon I got something wrong with me.
I see.
See, I got this lump, and it's really worrying, like...
Well, I'd advise you to see your local doctor as soon as possible. That could be very dangerous.
I already been, but when I got there, it had gone.
The lump vanished?
Yup, but it just come back again. See, I was about to go swimming with my cousin Sally Joe round the back of our place. We've been working really hard, so Sally Joe, she said, come on, Cousin Jeremiah, let's go swimming in the swimming hole, and ran over and started taking off all her clothes, and that's when I felt the lump come back.
This lump, is it still there?
Kinda. Let me see. Yup, and it's getting...
Jeremiah, I have a pamphlet. I'm going to send you, and I think it will explain what you're experiencing.
Okay. But what should I do about this lump? See, I was going to show it to my neighbor and see what he...
I think you'd best wait until you read the pamphlet, Jeremiah. It will explain it all.
Okay, thanks, Doc.
Thanks for calling, Jeremiah.
Hot diggity, my lump just got bigger.
And I'd like to thank Dr. Zing for coming in today.
My pleasure, Laura.
We'll be back after this week on Windy Nook.
I can't face it anymore. I've tried to tell you this, but I couldn't find the courage. But now I look into your eyes and I see not the tough, sophisticated secret agent you are today, but the resurrected ancient Egyptian mummy I fell in love with all those weeks ago.
And I love you too, Jenna. And I'll never forget whose lung I carry within my chest beside my heart. I know it's your love and your lung that keep me alive today.
But I can't go on without telling you. It's Jemima. She's going to have a baby.
You mean my ex-wife's twin sister's clone is carrying my child?
No, she's carrying my child.
Windy Nook, weeknights at 8, only on WANQ.
YAK FM, the station with something to say.
Welcome back to Localize with me, Laura Woods. Now I'm joined in the studio by Vernon. For those unfamiliar with Vernon, he's the self-help guru whose latest book, Finding the You You Deserve to Be and Keeping Your You Happy, is currently the county's bestseller. And he's in town promoting the book, and he's also here for a series of seminars starting this month. Welcome, Vernon.
Hello, Laura. And may I say a special hello to all you wonderful listeners out there.
Now, the Vernon...
You didn't answer my question.
What question?
I asked if I could say a special hello to all the wonderful listeners out there, but you ignored me. Or you heard my request for a self-identity affirmation dialogue situation, yet decided not to act upon it. That's very non-constructive in an ego-empathetic interpersonal sense.
Sorry.
That's a good girl.
So, the Vernon...
You still didn't answer my question, Laura.
Sorry, of course you can say hello to our listeners. Please be my guest.
Hello.
Can I continue now?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes, I can.
Very good. Positive establishment of the true self's abilities versus the aspirational self's abilities is very important in the development of the suppressed ego state.
Okay. The Vernon method...
Program.
Excuse me?
It's the Vernon program, not the Vernon method.
Is there a difference?
Why, yes, there is. The Vernon method was the system I employed in my previous book. The Vernon method to a better you that people will actually like instead of simply tolerate.
I see. And I presume your new book comes as an extension of your previous work.
No, my last book was garbage. The Vernon method didn't work.
Well, it's good to see you're honest about it.
Yes, honesty is the key to the Vernon program. For example, I can share the gift of truth with you when I say I think you look like a bag lady. And by expressing my honest opinion, I'm emulating passive, submissive body language, much as I might say, open my arms and show you my palms to indicate I'm not carrying my correctional whip today, thus making myself vulnerable to what I call the self-other retrogressive trust-honesty cycle of sharing.
And you've had a lot of success with this program?
Oh, yes.
Could you give us some examples?
Yes, I could.
Well, I've got a passage from your book relating to Jacob McKenzie. Some listeners may remember Jacob as Slam McKenzie, the star running back for the Capital City Lobsters.
Yes. Jacob came to me just over 2 years ago because he was unhappy and realized his life needed a new direction. The endless cycle of showbiz parties, dates with supermodels, free sports cars, and being paid large amounts of cash were all keeping him from expressing his true human-based personality assemblage. Jacob finally overcame his own ego-based reality manipulations and embraced his true self.
Or, to put it another way, he changed his name to Brother Shambaluma, formed the Society for the Prevention of Llamas, now sleeps in a hole in the ground, and fights bums for sandwiches.
Yes, it was a radical change for Jacob, but one that was for the best. I'd imagine he's much happier now. His life has been simplified, and his ego-constraint illusions have been successfully removed.
So, what exactly does the Vernon program involve?
It's a rather complicated psychoscientific methodology that's difficult to summarize. But basically, we teach people to empower their suppressed self and free their inner power through a series of reinforced messages, self-help groups, and, of course, beatings with large sticks.
Beatings?
Purely metaphorical beatings. These sticks are, of course, merely a psycho-visual tool to help my victims shatter their own self-ego delusions.
Okay. So if I came to your seminar, how would you help me?
Well, I'd start out by simply assessing your critical path to self-enlightenment and positive ego adjustment.
And what exactly would that involve?
Quite simply, I'd use a positive-negative deconstructive method to gauge what I like to call your life balance quotient as a self-expressive entity, i.e., person of the human genre.
But on a practical level, how would you help me?
I'd begin by discussing your goals, your aspirations, and your bank balance. Once we'd established what your life motivational drivers are, I'd then move on to your fears, your negative identity persona traits, and any illegal actions you may have committed in the past but were never punished for. Once I'd created what I call an all-encompassing persona map, we'd begin by taking you, as you are now, and utilizing techniques to remind you of your negative traits and self-interest ego manifestations, usually in a group of around 5 to 6 people, and reduce you to a blubbering wreck on the floor, using insults, threats of violence, and big sticks.
And what purpose does that serve?
You mean aside from being immensely satisfying for me and my acolytes?
Yes.
Well, to be a whole, living, breathing, thinking self, one must first be willing to be deconstructed to a worthless non-entity, free of all ego restraints and self-oriented psycho goals. This is, of course, just one method we employ, and it's used quite sparingly.
So, the use of this technique is pretty rare?
Yes, and we have many other methods at our disposal, even some that don't involve physical pain. We may employ a non-visual recognitive ego manipulation, where we simply ignore the person undergoing treatment. Or we could use what I call a self-blockade exclusion exercise, where the subject is stripped naked and paraded around the dungeon, thus breaking down the artificial barriers between self and other. Or failing that, we may utilize what I call the hot iron rod insertion ego readjustment technique. There are a number of options available within the Vernon program.
I've heard you talk about beating people with sticks, stripping them naked, and now you're talking about what sounds like some kind of medieval torture.
Modern man has become so blinded by so-called scientists and contemporary self-image reinforcement ego inhibitors that he's lost sight of the fact that many much older methodologies do in fact have relevance even today. Herbal remedies, so-called alternative medicines, acupuncture, reflexology, they all have proven worth.
Yes, but there's a difference between drinking tea made from tree bark and torturing someone with hot irons.
But is there really? Both achieve the same end results. The victim is eventually bent to my will and can then be made to confess to any charge I see fit to level at him.
Excuse me?
Or her.
And this is still going on? I mean, people are still coming to you?
Oh yes, I've had many successes, although some take more persuasion than others.
But isn't torturing people, well, illegal?
It depends really on your definition of illegal, torture, and people.
Well, I usually go by the standard definitions.
Well, if you're going to use such narrow definitions, then you are going to encounter some rather serious negative ego disempowerment situations. I prefer the definitions non-conceptually acceptable in an archetype-obsessed society, outlook realignment, and victims. If you'd allow me to subject you to one of my intensive weekend courses of self-realignment positivity therapy, and possibly some minor whippings, a few hours hanging naked by your feet, and perhaps a minor spell of boiling in hot oil, I'm sure you'd see that you're merely relying on a group-constructed psychomechanism of negative objectivism to reassure and feed your self-ego manipulation state.
Well, it's certainly been enlightening speaking with you, but I'm afraid we're out of time. Vernon, thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure, Laura. And I hope to see you at our next seminar.
We'll be back after this.
Tonight on WANQ, he's a maverick cop, and he's not afraid to bend the rules of nonconformist copness. He's Hyde Homicide.
I recognize that look, Hyde. What you got planned?
I thought I'd maybe follow procedure, drive my sensible, fuel-efficient car within the speed limits for a while, then maybe do some paperwork in triplicate.
The mayor's all over my butt like a bad pair of pants. Get out there, do something maverick, and bend some rules.
What? And risk my pension? No way, Lieutenant. You want some maverick cop to do something maverick? Well, I'm so maverick I do double maverick things, which, in their own way, aren't maverick at all. And you can tell that to the mayor, preferably in a nicely worded letter. Now there's parking tickets out there that ain't gonna file themselves.
Hyde Homicide, a new breed of maverick cop, only on WANQ.